Welcome back to another episode of Unscripted Exchanges. Hayden, I am stoked for this episode. We have Lenar Mukhmadi on here. He is an entrepreneur, hustler, just all around incredible person. He has actually, born in Russia, right? Grew up in Russia, moved here for college. And we were talking earlier, Hayden, and Lenar was telling me basically dude's working like 19 jobs at a time to pay for college, then goes to college. It does probably did better than I did. And then, now, fast forward to where we're at today, and he's running an unbelievable engineering as a service company called Edelsoft. Incredible company, vision, and really focus on high growth startups, primarily high growth companies that need anything from engineering help to MVP help to recruiting. I mean, the whole nine. So, Lenar, we are excited to have you on here, excited for the conversation, and I'm fired up, guys. I'm fired up.
Yeah, good to meet you guys. Thanks for the invitation.
Cole, you're crushing it. I think this is 2 or 3 awesome guests that we have early into the new year. So, like you said, I'm looking forward to today's conversation with Lenar and learning a lot of awesome information about his story and his company. So, Cole, I'll pass it back over to you real quick.
So thank you. So, Lenar, if you're prepared, I'd love to give you an opportunity to kind of introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about who you are, your journey, and then we'll dive into. I've got a list of some hot topics we'll get into. As I told you before, Hayden, I was telling Lenar earlier on the phone. I said, "Don't tell me too much." So don't tell me too much because I want to be surprised when I hear it. So if you want to go ahead, Lenar, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what's Edelsoft doing, and then we can kind of dive into your story and what makes you tick.
Yeah, thanks for a nice intro, Cole, and nice to meet you. I think it's my first time ever being on a podcast, so I'm going to be a little bit nervous, but in general, I think I'm super excited to be here, super excited to be part of your journey. To shortly introduce myself, I reside in Tampa Bay area. It's been my 6th year here already. Previously, I spent another 5 years in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh specifically. Go Steelers! I see your Bengals shirt.
You don't seem like Joe. Okay, hold on. I'm going off cusp here for a second because he just said that. Hold on, guys, sit still. I'm gonna have to re-hang this. All right, look what we're doing.
Oh, Joey, the savior.
That's the way to go.
Sorry, as soon as you mentioned that, I had to grab it.
Yeah, you had to. All right. Yeah, I've been software engineer basically all my life. I grew up in, as you mentioned, in Russia. There is a small region which is like multi-ethnic region where like Russians and ethnicity all Tatars are divided into 2 pieces. It's 50% Russian, 50% Tatars. It's like a very diverse place. I was growing up at the farm. I was like a regular kid. I wouldn't say I was exceptional, valedictorian, straight A's kid, just regular guy, regular boy in the farm. But as soon as I went to college, I started showing some interest in software development, software engineering, and IT space in general, because probably you've seen all the growth of like companies like Microsoft, Yahoo, while growing up. It's been with you like for all the time. But when I grew up, it seems like very far away. It seems like very distant. Who are these people? Who are this like nerd guy like Bill Gates, who is like super rich, the richest guy in the world, how he became rich, where's the factories, manufacturing, what he's doing, I was kind of like super pumped to learn that there is such a business as IT or technology space, startups and stuff like that. And that's how I got into like technology. So I started my career as in software testing. I was working as a QA engineer, eventually transitioning into software engineer. And when I moved to Tampa, I started thinking like, okay, how can I monetize my skills? Because I didn't have much of skill before, except to failed investment into restaurant business, right? I was like, I want to do IT, I'm in the heart of the IT industry, which is obviously the US. There's plenty of opportunities to build yourself up. And this project, like Edelsoft company, starts as a solo consulting. I was working as a single entity going into the project, helping out startups to build anything, basically, anything I didn't know. I will just take any project, build website for $1,000, done, like build it, do some integration, like $200, done, like create a logo, done, like I was like basically taking up everything just to keep myself busy and then just learn everything and build from scratch. But eventually this business of mine transformed into like full established business. Right now we have 12 people in the company, and we are like working with really solid names, like clients who are backed by Mark Cuban, Nielsen, Y Combinator, Techstars, Antler, Hyundai, Kia, and it's been a journey. I think I'm not gonna lie. First few years were kind of like it was part time. I was managing full time, and I was managing this business. But as soon as I started making like some 6 figures revenues, I was like, okay, I should quit. I should focus solely on the business. And since then, I'm working on it full time, and that's how I met Cole. I was recruiting him for a startup from Y Combinator, and I was like, okay, that's going well. Market is right now is not greatest, to be honest. Hiring market, job market, tech market is plenty of layoffs, plenty of firings and stuff like that, cutting costs. But despite all the challenges, we are doubling revenue every year almost, and hoping to be doubling, projected to double our revenue this year too. So I guess that's about it. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot there, Hayden. There's a lot there, buddy.
There certainly is. So real quick, Lenar, I mean, there's a lot of ways we could dive into, hearing your story there. For any listeners that, are potentially pursuing the software or engineer route, you had mentioned throughout your journey, you were a developer at one point. Like, where do you think a good place would be to start? Like, I'm sure, the resources out there today are a lot different than they were even, 12 months ago, let alone like 5 years ago. So like, what advice would you give to people that are looking to immerse themselves in like a software or engineering kind of background, and where do they begin? Like with a boot camp, or how would you navigate that?
I think first we have to understand that every company is IT company, right? Like even you as a podcast, you are also IT company. You do all kind of IT tools, like to promote yourself, to build your brand, to build your company, like acquire stuff. So everything, everywhere you look at it, there is IT. Like there's plenty of opportunities for software engineers, like data scientists and machine learning engineers, like QA engineers, DevOps engineers, like plenty of opportunities everywhere. So despite the challenges that the market is currently facing, you'll see the opportunity everywhere. I think the one thing that I'm always looking into when I'm hiring, for example, juniors, I'm looking for motivation, right? I don't want to I want to make sure that I'm investing in the right talent. Everybody hates when you hire the wrong person and then you spend your money, time, resources on that, and it doesn't work out. Everybody hates that. And I think the employers also, when they're looking for software engineers, and they're also looking for a thing called motivation. You don't have to know everything. It's impossible to know everything in the software engineering. But the one thing that you have to show is the courage and motivation to learn, and obviously discipline. Because this market is pretty saturated right now, I will say. A lot of colleges are producing software engineers, boot camps, I think that everyone is doing courses, teaching, like Coursera, training, stuff like that. A lot of stuff is going on. So there is jobs. I won't say people if you are skilled person who shows motivation and courage, you'll find something for yourself. But also it's important to mention that companies are different, different. You can talk about fan companies like Microsoft, Netflix, Facebook, and stuff like that. But also there's companies like regular local mom and pop shops, they also building local insurance projects, there's healthcare applications everywhere, for stuff. So obviously you have to aim high, but you can start small,
So what I'm hearing, Lenar, from you and Hayden, to answer your question, is there's a lot of resources out there. They're a dime a dozen, right? And it's true. Every month that goes by, there's 50,000 more, software platforms that are being created, right? And that's probably a small number because of the more we get, the more we develop. So what I'm hearing you, Lenar, say is it's not so much just the fact that you can go take a course or get a degree, but it's more than that. It's the willingness to go outside of your comfort zone to learn more, or like you said, maybe I want to get a job, in Microsoft as a systems engineer, but I don't have that background. Okay, well, what am I willing to learn to be able to do that? And that's an intangible that I think it sounds like you've got to have to be successful in that in this environment.
Well, I think also having the direction also helps, right? So you cannot there is thousands of, not thousands, but hundreds of different frameworks and programming languages and technologies, right? You cannot know everything. You have to find your interest language you like, or you have to just look at the stats. Like what programmers are in high demand. Whether it's data science or whether it's machine learning, systems engineer, and you have to figure direction. There is a hype about AI right now, and you can obviously put that on your resume, start doing something with AI. ChatGPT API is open for everyone. You can pretty much build anything over the top. There's a lot of ChatGPT wrappers creating around right now. And I was just learning about the startup that I found out about a couple of weeks ago. They are creating AI SDR, you'll be communicating with that startup, and you'll be giving him directions like, okay, reach out to this lead that is matching this criteria, right? And I'll be reaching out to email, LinkedIn, through different channels, and I'll be booking appointments for you. And I'll be setting up appointments for you on the Google Calendar. I'm not sure how it's going to be successful. They are still in the
early stages.
Right? Early stages. But ChatGPT is a pretty powerful thing. You can definitely utilize it for testing your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick for, someone that's maybe not as technical listening, I mean, I have a strong enough background to understand when you say a wrapper around Chat GPT, what does that mean? You see something new out there every day, it seems like, and someone's just kind of building upon, some of the capabilities that, foundationally speaking, OpenAI has established. So do you mind elaborating on what you mean by a wrapper in Chat GPT?
Well, sure. So ChatGPT is kind of like you put your prompt and then it gives you answer and gives you solution, right? But you can do so much with that. You can create actually the interactive UI, nice interface for users. So that way for sure how you can communicate with ChatGPT without actually clarifying your prompt. You can do big prompts manually, but there is always wrappers on the top of ChatGPT, taking as a software tool, and providing you better user experience to interact with ChatGPT API, And for example, I was mentioning the sale SDR thingy, right? You can also actually integrate ChatGPT with different tools, like Apollo, Zoom Info, LinkedIn, stuff like that. There is Zapier. You can use Zapier for integrations and stuff like that. So you can really automate everything and create startups out of it, and really use ChatGPT for something needed for your users and customers as a product that you sell. It can be Chrome extension as a wrapper, it can be some application, cloud application, so like that. So it's really complex. That's how you deal with API. If you ever create a startup, you do payment systems with either PayPal API or Stripe API, and that's basically what ChatGPT is. You just integrate ChatGPT into your business and create a business on the top of it,
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense, and I appreciate you going into a little bit more detail explaining all of that. I think we've probably given, not even just us here, but the world at large, ChatGPT, a ton of publicity. But where I kind of want to go with this is how are you either maybe even leveraging ChatGPT, or how are you using AI with your company Idelsoft today?
Definitely, yeah. I use it daily. It's like I have a paid subscription. I use it daily. It could be super useful, like even for uh, generating job descriptions. Like either like we get a job description from our clients, and we just throw it into ChatGPT and say like, okay, generate questions based on this job description. It is
Make this sound better, right? Make this sound more exciting. It's like, okay, this is like, I've seen some of these. Sorry to jump in. I've seen some of the applications or the like the overviews they put out there for jobs, and you go, that doesn't look exciting. Like, how are you gonna get people to like actually apply to this job? No wonder you've got 3 applications.
Yeah, it is ChatGPT is an example, right? There's obviously like Bard, Gemini, stuff more. There's more stuff, right? But I totally get you because I've seen ChatGPT choice of words is not the human friendly. It's like still like a robot,
Yes. Yeah. You gotta read it. You gotta read it. It's funny. I did a project where I work. We did a big project. It was like I was doing a new presentation for something, so I was just like, screw this. I don't want to do any of the copy. So I just put a prompt in and let it spit it out. Luckily, I went back and read it before I did the presentation. It was good. Like the meat was there, maybe like 80-90%. But I'm like reading through it. I'm like, all right, so like some of these sentences don't really make sense, or like they use this word, but that doesn't really fit here, or like that's overly complicated. So that's really interesting, and I feel like in the human intensive world that we live in, especially like what Edelsoft's doing is you've got to have a level of help with just the constant communication, and to be able to leverage that is huge. One of the things Hayden, because you asked that question, I actually had a conversation with one of my coworkers a couple of days ago about AI, and he's like, I was tasked with figuring out how we're going to leverage AI and use AI, and I was like, well, like in what sense? And he goes, well, Tom, our president just wants to know how we're going to use it. And I said, okay, but like, is it going to either make us more money or make our lives easier? Because if we don't have either of those, what's the point of even looking at using AI? So I think one of the big things for all of us to remember, and probably you're running into this, is like AI tools are fantastic and they're rapidly growing, but it's there's not always a use case everywhere for them, and like sometimes they can actually make your life a little bit harder because you're taking a third step when you could have gone right to the source. You're like, oh, I'll use AI to do this. It's like, actually, you took yourself 4 times as long to set that up than just doing it yourself. So I think there's a balancing act to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there is content creation part also involved with the AI, right? But right now, like I think eventually what Google is going to do, and they are actually already doing that. If they see the content was created using AI, it's not going to index it on the site. Google, it's just going to ignore it because they're gonna see that it's been generated by AI, it's not human friendly text, the copy that's created. So initially there's going to be sources that's going to be fighting AI internally, so it's going to be limiting the AI usage in the internet because there's so much content being created.
Oh, so you think, because that's interesting. I hadn't even heard that take. Right, these media platforms are going to throttle if they're going to start looking for. They're probably going to use AI to look for AI. Right, they're going to say, hey, we're going to basically try to figure out who's actually creating like novel and new and real content, and who's using AI to create it. Oh, since you didn't spend time on it yourself, we're going to throttle your post or your article or your product. Because that's interesting. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I think it will happen eventually because otherwise, like there will be tons of media resources, which is dumping all this kind of information and content on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn influencers. There's many of them, and Twitter influencers and stuff like that. There's going to be like dumping content on you daily, like. And I think eventually the social media platforms or Google like searches, they didn't start blocking and not showing you this information because it's been generated with AI. And if you post like 5-6 times a day and users will not see it, what's the point of building a brand online?
Right. Hayden, if you don't mind, I'm going to take us a different route here real quick.
Do it.
Okay. We're gonna pivot here. I want to come back to the when you did your introduction and talked about, you did a synopsis of you started off basically started off in this small town in Russia that was multi-ethnic, right? Very diverse, but felt like it was very kind of removed from like what was going on in the world a little bit, right? Because you're like, hey, to be able to be in this tech world, to be able to be within the likes of like Microsoft and these guys, you're like, that's so far out there, right? You're like, that feels so foreign, literally, not just figuratively, but like literally, because you came to the U.S., it was foreign to you, right? And so, what I think is
Yeah.
really really neat is the fact that not only did you say you saw that, but you recognized that's something that you thought you could find success in, and then you moved to the United States, went to school here, and did that. And so, I guess my first question about that whole experience is that I think that's incredible. I think that journey is just unbelievable. It's coming back to like what was going through your mind when you first said, "Hey, I'm going to move. I'm going to go to school in the United States, and I'm going to pursue what I'm going to call the American dream." I might get canceled for talking about that because people don't want to talk about the American dream anymore. But when I call it the American dream, pursuing the American dream, which is, hey, I get to whatever I create and whatever I'm willing to work for, I can attain. I saw a post from you from about 8 months ago about the Independence Day. You said, "I'm so thankful that I came here and I've been able to achieve success." That to me, like that hit me hard. So I guess my first question is, or for you to elaborate on is, and what was that feeling when you first move from your home to a new country when you didn't know anybody? Did you have any family here? Like, just walk me through how that felt.
Yeah, I didn't have family actually here, but I had like some few friends that I met before who were helping me out here, and basically they been super supportive to me when I was coming here, and they will pick me up from airport. They will like show me around, like they will help me with like basic setup, obtaining social security number and stuff like that, like legalization part. So I think in general, like it was I was mind blown when I first came here because I barely spoke any English. It was like very little English because we don't speak English daily. Back in Russia, and I was blown away, like, oh my God. And I was in Pittsburgh. Imagine if I came to San Francisco or somewhere, like LA.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I was actually like very surprised to our family, like in our area, in Europe in general, we barely smile to people, like we're just very like ourselves, like you see movies with Russians, like they're like always like cold face, like these guys, like Ivan Drago people, kind of people, like, and like, and it's always like it was I think first impression that, oh wow, everyone's so friendly and supportive. Every time I will say something, like, oh, I'm trying to do this, like I'm achieving these goals, like when I was even like first year immigrant, like they were like, oh, so cool, man, that's so great that you're doing it, like, and I wish you good luck. I was feeling, oh man, I'm so powerful. Everyone's supporting me. I'm gonna achieve this. Back in Russia, like you'll tell someone like, oh, I'm building this company, like we're gonna do engineering service. I was like, what the hell is this? Like why are you doing that? Go work as a regular person, like 40 hours a week, a 9 to 5 job. You'll make money, like get mortgage and stuff like that. Why you doing that? I think I was lacking the support. I will say most of the time. When I was in Russia, because they will like easily shut you down for outside opinion, even though like Russia is not the most democratic country in the world, softly saying, right? And you raise your opinion, like, which is different from the agenda, like regular agenda, they might shut you down, like, and I think that it's voices or like echoes of communism, like our country has spent like 80 plus years and almost 80 years in communism, like where you won't have a chance to be entrepreneur, like you had all your life planned out. You will finish your school, you'll go to college, and from college they will send you like somewhere to work. Like you're not choosing where to work, but they will send you somewhere to work. So you're living like in the western part of Russia, like with your family, everyone is there, like, and you do like, I know you're interested in like, I know, like geology or whatever, and they will send you all the way to the Siberia, like just because they need people in Siberia. It was like all your life was planned, and you didn't have like much creativity in your life. Like, and it was, I guess, for some people it was good that to have like some sort of stability. You finish college, you already have a job, like you work there to raise your kids. But for younger generation like mine, which was born after the fall of the USSR, like it was not fun experience. We were all about like achieving things, like interesting world, traveling, discovering new countries. I think that America seemed the perfect place for me when I went here. Like it was, first of all, it's a country of immigrants. Everyone came here. I think your grandparents came from somewhere.
100%.
Yeah, and even now, like if you look at the like CEOs of the top companies, like startup founders, like they are all from like everywhere, like Elon Musk is from South Africa, and your father is from Cuba, like you'll see like the CEO of Microsoft and Google, they are from India, like they are if you like achieving things, if you are good at overachieving things and dream big, you come to the United States to make your dreams big, like because to be honest, like if you're willing to travel far away from your family all the way to another country by yourself, start from the bottom with no English and build yourself up, you're getting like really motivated people here, like there must be something good with this country. There is not like you don't get like people here coming here and then sitting on social benefits like forever, like for example, I don't want to like badmouth like countries like in Europe, like Germany or something, like you can basically sit on the welfare like forever, like, and you don't do anything. But here you gotta work, you gotta grind, otherwise you'll be homeless or go back to your country, and nobody wants to fail,
I'm back. Didn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Cole, but I'd say America is a pretty awesome place to be,
Dude, you
But
know about me 100%, dude. That's why, dude. See,
Cons and pros, but there are pros.
well, I love, I mean, all of that, Lenore, and I felt, I asked that question because you've been very comfortable this whole time, but I knew from talking to her, I was like, that's the what we need to get into is how you felt making that transition because that's personal to you, and I could feel the passion coming from you, talking about that and talking about like the support you got, and I think that was a really interesting point you said you can't come here and just sit around on your ass is basically what you're saying. You're like, if you want to come, if you're coming, especially that far away, you're coming here with a purpose and you understand that like what you've given up, like you got to put in the work to get what you want out of it. And that's really, really neat to hear. I feel bad that you came to Pittsburgh. That hurts me for you a little bit. Makes me sad. I know those are probably some dark years for you. You're probably like, what is this all about? Why did I come? I mean, that must have been tough. But I've got a couple questions. Hayden, I'll let you if you want to make have anything to say, or you have a couple of questions. I know I've been kind of jumping in. So, what did you think, or what do you have to ask, Hayden?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I would echo everything that you just mentioned there. And I really appreciate, Lenar, you kind of sharing something that's probably pretty vulnerable about your story and coming over and what you felt. But it is very reinvigorating just to hear that we have a lot of opportunities in the United States that maybe some of us take for granted. And like you have to go out and work and grow those opportunities into additional opportunities and kind of climb that ladder to say. But I think one question that I kind of wanted to circle back to, or topic I should say, is you're a CEO and founder with your SaaS company. What would you say is like the most impactful thing about being a founder that you enjoy? And then kind of on the flip side, what is some of the toughest things that you have to deal with on like a day-to-day basis?
I think that being CEO is not like working 9 to 5, it's like working 24/7. That's, I think, one thing that you have to like face it, like it's only fun when you watch like YouTube videos or blogs saying like, I'm the CEO, I wake up at 5 p.m., they go to the gym, take a cold shower, like I'm successful 24/7. It's not like that. There's always like up and downs, like there are failures, there are mistakes you make and you learn from it, like it's obviously everyone is different, every business is different. Some people struggle for years before they become successful, but for some people success comes like the first year, like it's different experience for everybody. I think that's the main point. And about being a business owner is that it's challenging. Obviously, it's challenging in terms of that you spend all your time try to be a person who wears multiple hats. You have to be good at every level of your business, whether it's a marketing, whether if it's operations, management, sales, hiring, and the risk is very high, even especially for smaller companies, when you hire somebody internally for your business and it doesn't work out, then you probably lost like a couple of months, I think it's more about focus on finding the right people that's going to surround you and going to help you grow eventually. That's the mindset of startups right now. They are selling the giving the stock options, giving this for employees because they want to feel them committed also, and obviously there are different people. Some people situations are really hard. You cannot expect from everyone to be an entrepreneur, even right now, like in the US, for example, you cannot easily quit your job if you have family and kids and start doing business from zero, because first your kids and family, they need health insurance. And that's the one thing that I don't really like about the US is that your health insurance ties to where you work, They cannot just easily start from the bottom and become entrepreneur and work for basically no money for 2 years. There's a huge risk, but I think that the toughest part is it's not fun. Also, it's fun when you are doing great, but when there are some issues that you have to struggle, you're losing clients, you're making struggles, you're failing at some point, stuff like that. You have to deal with it, and you have to have really good level of stress holding skills, you have to deal with it somehow.
You say diamond hands. What is it? What is I saw a video of I know you have something to say. I just saw this video of Dave Portnoy when he was doing during COVID. Dave Barcel Schwartz. He goes diamond hands. He was day trader Dave, and he was it popped up on my newsfeed. It was like diamond hands. I'm holding on to it. I don't care if everybody's getting out. And I was like, that's what you're describing, right? Is as a CEO and as an owner and founder of a business, you've got to be able to be positive and keep working through the down times, right? Even when stuff gets really bad, or even when you fail or decline, you got to still hold on to the vision. You got to be like, okay, we're going to make it through it. Everybody, let's lock arms, right? Let's stay in this together. But that's on you, right? Because you feel ultimately responsible for it. So I thought that video. We should do a little clip of that video with Lenar saying it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think what you're describing too, Lenar, is just the power of being resilient. As you were describing, I mean, it is fun at times, but there's a lot of times where you're probably putting out fires and, you're like, shit, is this really what I want to be doing? I mean, I think everyone has those thoughts, whether you're a CEO of a company or, you're the janitor. You're just like, am I cut out for this? But you have to continue to push forward, even in those tough days. And Cole and I have, talked about this ad nauseum on a lot of our episodes, but just the power of, finding the silver lining and staying consistent and showing up, because, look at where you'll be 4 or 5 years from now. I mean, I'm sure where you are today, is light years ahead of where you guys were when you first started, a few years back. And like, that's extremely powerful, but you have to have that vision leading everyone like, hey, I'm buying into this vision. I got to get other people to buy in, and I have to continue to keep them, bought in, even when things aren't going well, because you don't have anyone probably to hype you up. Like, you're, at the highest level there. So it's like, I got to just keep showing up and showing that, we're going to make it through these tough times. So totally can resonate with that, especially Cole and I were previous, business owners ourselves. And it's just, not every day is going to be easy, and it's just continuing to show up and push forward.
100%.
I love that. I wanted to follow that question. That was a really good one, Hayden. Another probably closer to home for you, Lenar, but we talked about, I know I got a little one. I got a little 2-year-old. I was just playing hide and go seek with her actually before this afternoon. She doesn't understand hide and go seek really. I mean, she understands the concept of like go hide because dad's gonna find you, but she just like, I'm not kidding you, for 45 minutes to an hour straight, she'd go in her room and shut the door and sit in there and go, "You found me!" And I'm like, "Yeah," for the 17th time in a row. But one of the things that I think we talk about a lot on here in Lenar is the balance of personal life, right? Because when you're motivated and when you're driven and when you want to excel in areas like whether it's it's personal and physical and mental and career, that's a hard thing to balance, being a parent and stuff. So one of the things I would ask you is how have you balanced with the ups and downs and running a business that you have to be on 24/7? How have you balanced that against being a newer father and being there and being present and trying, like, has it been tough? What has that been like?
Yeah, I can give you like long answer. I can give you a short answer. Short answer is that you outsource it to nanny. You know.
There you go.
Long answer is that it's obviously hard. My wife, like she also had a career before. Right now we work together. She was a senior manager at L'Oreal, the cosmetics company, like beauty company, that's a pretty famous company like in the world.
Oh yeah.
And she went to previously she was with PwC, also like which is a big four company, like so she has a career as a business, and was hard to manage, hard to be those kind of parents who are focused on a career but also want to have kids, have stuff like that. So it was in the beginning, it was actually really hard, sleepless nights and stuff like that. But thanks God we found our nanny that she was able to help out during the day, and the evenings we will spend time together. But the nights were rough, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the balance here, there is no right answer, to be honest. I don't want to sound smart, saying like, okay, you have to do this to be balanced. There is no right answer. Everyone's different. Everyone, you want to spend time with your kid while they're growing up, because you don't want to spend time on your business only, and then one day found out that your kids are already grown up and you missed all that timeline. When they were little, they would try to walk, they would try to speak, they would try to show the first signs of being adult, and you don't want to miss that. You want to be there for them. You want to face it. You want to see it, how they are growing and how they are building up to the human, and I think that's the most important part. And every time, when I was out of work, I will just spend that extra time with my family every time, because family is still number one priority for me. That's kind of sounds easy, but that's true. Even though job is important, business is important, but family is number one. Because your job might not be there tomorrow for you, or your business might go away. But your family, they're always going to support you. And you're committed. You're married, have a kid now. You're committed. It's commitment. You have to commitment. You have to commit to it, and you have to show that you're committed, and you have to show that you love them and that you care about them, because it's there are stories, when, for example, married people, especially when husbands, they get super successful and they start looking for models, and
Yeah.
doing ego thing, and the families are broken apart. I don't want this to happen, because my growth is my family growth, and when I was focusing on business, my family supported me. My wife also supports me, and I want to Like I don't want to be that guy who's gonna be like be super rich one day and then start dating like Victoria's Secret models, like.
Well, you know what the I think, and I did kind of bait you on that question. I know it's not a yes and no, or it's not an easy question. But I think it's good to hear it for our listeners to hear that it's not just a black and white answer. It's really important to me too, Lenar. Hayden knows we've talked about this again, a lot on the podcast. I've got two daughters, and I've been married. I had our first daughter when I was 19, which we've talked about a lot. She's a rock star. She's turning 10, and then we had our second one, and I think there is, like you pointed out, there's no right way to do it. It's just to remember that your priority, businesses come and go, money comes and goes, right? But those relationships and those moments and that time, like, are 100% like absolutely priceless. And what I think is kind of indicative of your mentality, for our listeners to know, is that you have a no quit mentality, which is what you have to have not only in business and in your career, but also as a parent and as a husband. You can't quit. Like, it can't be an option. There are going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be good and bad, but it's like you can't go, oh shoot, I'm just choosing not to be a dad for the next couple of days. I'm choosing, like, you don't get that option. And I think that your story lends itself to that resilience, like you were talking about, Hayden. I think that's just really cool to hear your thoughts and stuff on that. And I resonate with that really hard. That's a big thing for me.
100% agree.
I want to try to put a bow on our conversation because I know we're getting kind of close to time, but Cole and I typically like to ask a lot of our founders this question. It's kind of a two-part question, Lenar. The first question would be, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give to your younger self? And then, like, if you were to write yourself a letter and talk to yourself in the future, what advice would you give your future self?
Future myself, or what? Can you take the question?
Yeah, so it's a two-part question. The first part of the question would be, what advice would you give to your younger self? And then what advice would you give to your future self, let's say 10 years from now?
Got it. Yeah, I think the first part of the question, if I will give advice to myself when I was younger, is definitely, if you have an idea, do it. There is less risk when you're doing it, like when you're young and stupid, when you're there is a more chance that you will succeed, and when you are smart and know everything, it's you start thinking about like negatives, like, I was like, okay, what if I'm gonna do this, what's gonna happen, stuff like that, like, you're young, you're like broke, and you have an idea, go for it, like, right away, because that's the way to go. That's the way to learn things. That's the way to achieve things, because you'll learn way faster than attending college or reading a book, like, by doing it, when you're young. And they will, in your creativities, let's be honest, you are way more creative when you are like under 20 than you are when you are closer to 30, like, that's for sure. You think about a lot of things. You can consume so much information. Right now, you are like, okay, you're picking what information to consume. I was like, okay, okay, this is not important, I'm going to consume it. Like, this is less important. Like, you are less curious when you are like older. Like, but when you're young, you're super curious. Everything's interesting. You're like a kid who just got into the US first time from poor country. Everything is fun for you.
Hayden, how hard does that hit home? I see Hayden smiling. He's going, dude, it's so true, right?
True words have never been spoken. Exactly. Absolutely.
I mean, think about this. Think about, like, how many times, like, even now, when you have like something like you got to make a decision on, like, all the people you ask advice for that are older than us over the course of years are always like, well, if you consider this and this, and if you consider that, and well, this is the risk, and this is that, and then you start right. You're going, okay, well, I got to make a rational decision, And when you're like 20, unless I had a kid, but I still was freaking wild, dude. I was like, all right, what's the worst that's going to happen? And my kid's going to have food, so we'll be good. Like, you don't process. You're not worried about the risk because you're like, I got all this time ahead of me. You got all these. So that was a good one. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think the second part of the question about future myself is, I guess, keep grinding, and I'm gonna say, like, you are living peaceful, successful life because of me, because I was grinding when I was younger, and my future myself is gonna be successful and independent and happy because I and the younger self work hard when we were younger. I guess that's it. Not really advice, but show some respect.
I love it. That is a hype me up segment right there, Lenar. You're gonna watch this 20 years from now or however long, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I'm very proud of where I am." I love that message.
Yeah.
Cole, is there anything else that you want to wrap things up with
Dude,
today?
I mean, you know me. We could sit here for 4 hours. We could do a Rogan podcast, and I'd still be going. We could get 5 different routes. I would just ask this. This is my last question. Where do you see what is? And this is a tough one, but we like to ask this. That was one of the questions we like to ask our entrepreneurs and people, guests that have come on. But where do you see Edelsoft going in the next 5+ years? I know you were talking to me a lot about, and I know we can't get into too many details, that you guys have been growing the size clients you have, and being more picky with who you're working with. Do you have any idea or thought?
More clients, more than 5.
What did you say?
More than 5 clients.
No, I'm saying like in 5 years, like in the next 5 or more, 5 years or more.
Okay.
Do you have any no, I know you have more than 5 clients. No, I was just asking, like,
Come on, Cole.
yeah, dude. No.
It's this new software that we're using. There's a lag, so it sounded
Right.
bad.
It's like I'm about to bitch slap you, Cole.
I'll slap him when I see him next year, Lenar. I'm a little bit closer than you are.
No, I guess my question is, where do you see what do you see as the evolution of your business over the next 5 to 7 years? Do you have a vision for where you'd like to be, or is it kind of like go where the wind takes you?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good question. I was thinking about it a lot actually lately. I think that eventually we want to move away from being like a service company to being a sales-focused company, because that's the one business I'm thinking about. Because there is a lot of high demand, like for engineering resources all over the world. And if you've seen some changes to the taxation from IRS, there is a section 174. If you guys heard about it, there's going to be a lot of changes applying to the hiring people in the US, and it will become tougher. And I think the world itself is merging. Right now, like when you see all that unions, like collaborations, the world is going to become one eventually. That's a good thing about like startups or companies, tech companies. Like you can build your company like in poor village of Nepal, but you still can be successful to the whole world. That's the beauty of the world. And I think that for my company, Edelsoft, I think we're going to be more focused on tech, and we're going to be focused on global achievements. We're not going to be only working with the US based customers, with based clients, right? Right? We're going to be building a global team with a global approach. And eventually, being a service company, I think the whole industry of recruiting is still using like some outdated methods of finding people and recruiting, hiring people. I think there is plenty of potential there. Obviously, there is a lot of competition. There's dozens of hundreds of companies that tried to disrupt this market already. This is not new. But I think if the recruiting is going to become more tech focused, eventually the thing with the AI is going to come play along. And I think the Edelsoft, that's what I want to do. Like, I think it's a short-term plan, even though 5 years. I think it's more like a this year plan. Like to build this platform that will make people to find jobs easier, and also they will help people to recruit the talent easier also. Because Indeed, all the companies, they are all great. Like even Twitter just acquired like some HR startup because you want to also like list jobs on Twitter somehow. Like it's called Lasky, I think. I think there's definitely demand, and I think the one thing that's going to be great about it, you can hire people globally. You can access the best talent, especially with the remote approach. Like before you will do something on site. Obviously, some businesses they require to be on site. Like selling stuff on site or being stuff on site. But eventually, with that remote focused work, you will have opportunity to be a global company really and expand your team globally. I think that's why I'm going to be looking into eventually to grow to be not only like local or regional business, but more like a global business that's going to attract people.
Breaking news. You heard it here first, Cole.
I know, dude.
Edelsoft is going global. That's the prediction. I love it.
It's manifested, dude. He's manifesting is what he's doing. I love how confidently you said that too. Like I just love the belief you've got, man. You're just like, yeah, we're gonna go global, and like I believe it. That's the beauty of it, dude. Like I felt that, and I was like, let's go. Like he was on this. This was his first podcast. That's cool. That's fun.
Don't give us that. You've been on like 10 of these. You're a pro, Lenar.
No, we said it at the beginning. No.
I'm kidding. You seem like a seasoned vet.
In a year, if I was bluffing or not, like. I'll buy a drink if I fail.
Well, you crushed it today, and we really appreciate, all the insights, learning about your story and, where you want to take your company and just who you are as a person. And as Cole mentioned, we could keep going for, another 3 or 4 hours, but I know we all probably don't have the time today. We'd love to probably sit back down with you sometime in the future and continue some further conversations. But yeah, like I said, we really appreciate your time here today. Cole, I don't know if you'd add anything else before we wrap up officially?
Oh, no, man. We just appreciate you coming on. And for all our listeners, you can find Lenar on LinkedIn. You can also get on his website, Idelsoft.com. Engineering as a service, they offer an array of services. So get in while it's hot because it sounds like in the next 5 or 6 years, they're going to be moving and shifting. So they might have some really, really cool tech and products coming out. But check them out, Idelsoft.com. You can check Lenar out on LinkedIn. We will also be sharing this video, these clips, along with his information that we will post on our socials. So you'll be able to reach him and just, man, thank you for coming on and sharing your journey. It was exciting.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I wish you good luck in your journey of being podcasters. Obviously this is a good format. I enjoyed it. I listened to a couple episodes and it's so much fun. I love how casual it is.
Oh, it's
That's life, man. We don't want to take it too seriously. I mean, there's serious topics that we can talk about, but we got to keep it, a little bit laid back. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're putting Cincinnati on the podcast map. It's so amazing.
I love that. We're gonna clip that. You're a good man, Lenar.
Let's stay in touch. Thanks,
All right, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Lenar.
See you, man.
Bye-bye.
See y'all.